A column? Did Jason write a column?
It came out this morning.
Is now the appropriate time to talk about that?
I wanted to give everyone time to read it and digest it before
I haven't
dove into it. So
who has? Who?
I haven't read the article, but I did see like a couple of lines.
What's your takeaway? First of all, characterize it for those that haven't read it. What is it? What's your take on it? Because
Jason basically wrote an article that he felt like Deshaun Watson was playing victim when he went up there and talked about people not liking him and, and him not giving two F's about what other people's opinion is. Me and Jason text this morning. I kind of keep that for off the record. But I see both sides of it. One, when you say you don't care about what people think, I think that's a clear indicator that you care about what somebody thinks.
It usually is, yeah.
For me, I'm an emotional being, right? And one of the things therapy teach you is emotional intelligence and stability, right? And you can always tell when you're out of balance and, you know what I mean, when your body language is off and things like that. But I think sometimes, we want to box Deshaun Watson into a corner. We want to take what he says and use it for ammunition. And sometimes he doesn't do a good job of not providing media members with that.
I think both of those things you said
with
are
that
true.
Ammunition, right?
I think
because
there are
on one
those that
hand,
put him
when
in a
you ask
box.
Deshaun Watson a question and he gives you a transparent, vulnerable, honest answer, and then you kind of take that and use it against him,
right?
It's like I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. I'll say this. One, he does care what other people think about him.
Well, but clearly does. He's out there.
Just hear me out.
Searching his name.
There's not a person that walks this earth that don't care about what other people say about him. I think naturally we all want to be liked. But I think in the same breath, when you're a member of the media and you talk about Deshaun Watson and criticize Deshaun Watson outside of the realm of football, and the words that you choose to use holds weight, right? You can talk about whatever situation you want, but when you use the words like creep, clown, and things like that,
that's personal.
It's personal, and it triggers people. And some of those same media members, you know where they be at when he is at the grand opening of Lefties, when they are at training camp? Those be the same media members smiling in his face, acting like they didn't say what they said. And we all know that he sees and he hears everything.
Sure.
So maybe he has the makeup of a person of you fake. Keep the same energy. So it's like somebody told me his body language was off. Me, Mike, and Ant watched the interview this morning. To me, he didn't come off as bad as people said he came off during that interview.
Right.
But I'm not going to sit up here and act like I don't understand the fact, if you the type of person that can talk shit about me behind my back or on your platform where you're comfortable and you don't have that same energy when you're around me, stay the hell away from me.
Sure.
And if you got to do your job, maybe I can do better at doing my job. If I was Deshaun Watson and I was dealing with a media member that I really didn't like, I understand he got a job to do, but so do I. I will one word answer you every single time you answer me something. I'm fulfilling my media obligation. We ain't got to be buddies, but keep the same energy. And I think that's what he's talking about.
That's fair. That's very fair. And I can't characterize it. I didn't read the article, saw very little of his entire news conference. I saw the controversial parts. G, what's your take?
Look, so for me, I look at this situation and I say, when you look at Deshaun Watson, I kind of compare it to, I said this on Ultimate Browns. I said, it's almost like being a kid coming from another area, right? Say, for instance, you're a military kid or your mom and dad, they get jobs and they bounce around a lot. And you get to a new high school, and you're there and you want people to like you. You're the new kid, right? So you go around, you get to the lunch table, you go to sit down, and it's like nobody's rocking with you. Nobody's sitting at the lunch table. You go to other lunch tables the next day and try to, indoctrinate you, but you're different, right? You're an outsider. So, go to another table, still people don't want to mess with you, right? And after about doing that song and dance for about 6 months, you start to realize, hey, look, I'm tired of going home being miserable. I'm tired of like looking at people laughing and joking at me. I'm tired of doing that. And what happens is you start to say, you know what? At the end of the day, I can't live my life based upon what somebody's thought process is or why I look a certain way or the way I'm answering it, right? To be truthful, those individuals starting to embrace sitting at the table by themselves. and they start to realize, well, look, Patrick Mahomes sit at the table by himself. Josh Allen sit at the table by himself. Because maybe, you know what, maybe you don't understand what it is, and maybe you don't see eye to eye with that. But I got to be okay with that. I got to be able to function in a way and the opportunity to do that. And so when you look at Deshaun Watson and his energy level at the press conference, the energy level is something that, as I was getting to before I said that, I love the energy level. You know why? It means he's focused and locked in. And it goes to the point of when you are playing a team sport, and you are in those locker rooms, they tell you the only people that matter are the people inside these walls. The same people that wake up at 6 a.m., the same people that bust their ass, the same people that's away from their family, the same people that have the same money issues, and people with, like, they tell you when camps start, lock in. We don't care. That's why they took him to West Virginia, right?
Sure, galvanized.
That's why they're there. So when he got that mentality, like, hey, listen, I'm not worried about the outside stuff. I can give two you know what's about guys, what you think about me. Okay, it's already baked into the cake. And like I always talk about it like this. I say this all the time. You're gonna have to make a personal decision on whether or not you like Deshaun Watson or you feel like he's going to be a good player for the Cleveland Browns. But what you also have to understand is Kevin Stefanski, he got a contract, right? He's going to be here. Andrew Berry, he got a contract. He's going to be here. Jimmy and D Haslam, they own the team. They ain't selling it, and they believe in Deshaun Watson. So we can say, oh, well, he got to go, or he ain't going to be it. But you got to realize something. The Browns, Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, they believe in him. They're going to give him every opportunity to win football games. And so when we talk about Deshaun Watson, at some point in time, you got to let the other outside stuff go. And you got to let that be where it's at. Because, you know, we have something in our country right now, and people say, don't say politics, but there's people in our country right now that got two choices of who do you going to pick for president. Some people got it baked in, some people don't have it baked in. But them people have a choice to pick who they want to pick for whatever reasons. So at the end of the day, it comes down to what are you going to do on the field and judging what he does on that field. But at some point in time, you have to say, my job is not to talk about what happened off the field. My job is to narrow down and get on what he's talking about on the field. Because at the end of the day, that's where you have open carte blanche to say, did you win? Did you not? Did you play well? What is it? And at this point, I think a lot of people want to get to a point where it's just football.
I think you touched on this earlier, and we've talked about this with Deshaun before. I wish he'd say less. I do. He can pick and choose the questions he decides to answer. When the media dangles the bait, you don't have to snap. You don't have to take it. When you take it, you play into their hand, and you give them words to write that will come back to hurt you. I like Deshaun's energy in that I do like a chip on your shoulder. Mm-hmm. I like that. I've always said that about Baker. The thing I think I liked most about Baker was he does his best work when the chips are down and people have counted him out.
That's all three of us.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Well, in reality, it's the people in life that get ahead are people that are out to prove other people wrong. Whether it was elementary school teacher, a high school baseball coach, whatever it is, you remember things. And it's okay for him to do that. I like that he does that, in fact. I wish he internalized it. And you can't send mixed messages. You can't say, oh, I see everything. That means you're out there searching Deshaun Watson in Twitter. That means you're typing that name in, and you're hitting search, and you're reading these comments.
But let me ask you this.
But if you can't do that and then say, I don't care what people say about me. You care so much, you search it out.
But do you think that's a byproduct of where we are as a society today?
Possibly, yes, and that's something that with this generation I'm not in touch with. What I've gone through a social media cycle. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was pulled into it begrudgingly because my employer wanted me to do it, and I didn't want to do it. I kept saying it's an exercise in narcissism. No one gives a rat's ass if I'm standing in line to buy concert tickets, except me. And if I suddenly think that people care about that, now I'm the problem. And so the cycle that I went through was I realized that it did have some value in driving ratings for the show that I worked on. Mm-hmm. I never wanted it to build a personal brand. I wanted it to build our show brand. Now, fortunately, my coworker and Skip Bayless really enjoyed playing with it and he loved Twitter, and he was able to build a huge following for our show through it. But as I've cycled through it, I don't even know when I joined it. Maybe 2012, 10? I don't know. Probably before that. I mean, I was like early on, I was on it. And
You joined in March of 2009.
okay, and then I got maybe in like by 14, probably 5 years, I realized this is toxic. Because you see what people say about other people. I loved what you said earlier. If you're going to have that energy, you keep that energy. Don't do it behind an anonymous icon and start blasting keyboard muscle. And, you know, that's where our society, I think, devolved with it. So for me now with it, I'm like, oh my God, it's a cesspool. I can't find anything negative about it or positive about it. So I just don't use it anymore. I hope he gets to that point.
I can give you a current day situation. I think, Mike, you could check this. The last time I actually tweeted out on my actual account was like July 10th or 11th. I kind of made a decision, like, I'm trying to step away from social media for a minute.
Mentally?
Well, the reason for it is because, again, I'm trying to become more self-aware of who I am as I get older as a man.
And don't let other people tell you who you are.
Going through a lot of things personally, and I understand that sometimes when you're going through stuff, you can be easily triggered, right? And sometimes you can give off energy that's probably unbecoming of who you are or who you're trying to become.
And you don't even know you're doing it.
And you don't even know you're doing it. And I know who I am. I'm an emotional being. And when my emotions are not stabilized and I see somebody talking shit, I know me. And so to avoid putting myself in an even deeper, like, dark space or negative mindset, it's just best to, like, you know what? Let me try to see if I could take a break.
Very
from
smart
all
of
that.
you.
But I'll say this, like, this is my first, like, career job, right? I've never worked for media in any other town or any other city. I have nothing to compare anything to. I come out here every day. I try to do my best effort. I try to be authentic. I try to take real life situations, things that I've witnessed or done myself, and compare those real life parallels to whatever sports takes. I very rarely use stats or anything like that. I understand that this is a privilege to be on this platform. I understand not everybody gets these opportunities. And I also understand that I have to be responsible with this platform. Just because I get this opportunity doesn't give me the right to say whatever the hell I want to say, how I want to say it. Like, I still have to dig down and use those same real life morals that my grandparents taught me, that my parents taught me. And so, like, I can be critical. I have a job to be critical at times, but I always try to be very careful of what I say and how I say it. Because you got to see people.
Yeah, that's
right?
wise.
You got to see people.
I know, McNuggets, I got one thing to add, but go ahead. If you got to read.
Add your one thing, then I'll do a read. We'll talk a little Nick Chubb.
Okay,
Nick
cool.
Chubb is going to lead us into the next part.
So one of the things that I also have to put in here too is I think that you know, athletes do have a responsibility to understanding what platform they have and understanding a way to talk about certain things so you don't give people fuel. I also will say we came up in a generation in sports media, and the game is different. Sports media has to examine their role in the heightened temperature when it comes to you know, athletes versus the media. You know, people that when I came up and I wanted to get in this industry, the forefathers or the pioneers of where we came from is hot take centric. Jim Rome was the biggest thing moving. Skip Bayless was the biggest thing moving. Stephen A. Smith, Jason Whitlock. These are the big names of the people out there that they gonna tell you how you feel.
The OGs.
Sometimes they found out that if I said this, people will do that. And you started to see the explosion of the amount of money that people in this industry made. And there's a lot of younger guys who saw that. You had to see that. Right now, if you want to write a regular article and you want to talk about the Browns' third receiver, go ahead. That ain't going to get it done. They made it okay for you to say, you know what, I don't really necessarily like this, that, and this. And the game got different because the media started to blur between opinion and journalism. What is off bat and what is something you can say. And a lot of people, they tap dance between the two worlds. They're journalists and they write, but also they do opinions. And so sometimes when you're an athlete, you say, well, you can't have it both ways. I'm forced to be professional all the time. And if I get out of pocket outside of this, you're going to say the quarterback so-and-so said that. It's not going to be a differentiation factor. But when you talk about it, Stephen A., he was a writer. Skip Bayless was a journalist in Dallas, one of the biggest. So we have to think about it and say, okay, what role do we play in it in terms of the way we characterize and the way we paint the story and the narrative? Because it's no longer just journalism. It's actually, this is an opinion-based thing that's kind of mixed with different nuances, and it's a brand new industry.
No, the click world will tell you journalism died around 10 years ago. And it's still, there's still a heartbeat, but the patient is on life support. And you're exactly right. It became a hot take industry around 2010, 2012. And all the younger people that wanted to get into this space, they're not dumb. They can look and see what moves the needle, and they say, okay, well, I don't want to write about the Browns' third receiver. I'm going to write about how Deshaun Watson's a terrible person. What it does,
not saying that Jason is doing that. Not saying I'm not.
No.
I'm not saying that.
I haven't read the article, so I don't even know what he said about Deshaun Watson. But what I will say is that sells, and unfortunately, it's a dollar-driven business. And when your editor looks at the clicks and sees what's moving the needle and bringing in dollars, they're putting soft pressure in some cases, hard pressure in other. Give me something with an axe to it. I want edge.
I know we got to move on. I'll just say this. I got a lot of respect for Jason. I know Jason as a person.
He is
right?
seriously
and so,
one of the best we have in this town.
When I read the article, I texted him right away. The one thing about articles like these, when somebody you know personally write them, it brings about healthy conversation and dialogue. So I can't wait to really holler at him a little bit more after the show is over with.
Well, and I'm sure because he sees everything, Deshaun has read it, and he'll do the mental gymnastics with it, what it means. The hope is you're very self-introspective. You're constantly doing this. You're constantly taking your temperature and measuring yourself because we've had these conversations. You want to wake up better tomorrow than you did today.
Yeah.
That is a positive, that is an admirable trait. To do that, you have to soften your skin and let some of the harsh words absorb and read them and be honest and say, is there something to this? The hard-skinned athlete, and Baker has a lot of this to him. I said the worst thing about Baker was he has thin skin and rabbit ears. You can't do that and be a quarterback. You can't. I was talking to Peyton Manning a couple weeks ago. He said, if I'd have stopped throwing passes after my rookie setting season the wrong way for most interceptions, I never would be where I am today. So you listen to the criticism and absorb it, soften your skin, let some of it in and digest it, and see if there's anything to that criticism, and see if you can use those words to a positive end. I do think that Deshaun's got a lot going on in his mind, and my sincere hope, and not just for football reasons, that this is silly. The football reasons are really kind of stupid. For him, as a person, you want him to be a healthy and productive person. And clearly there's some negative energy there that I hope he can exercise and he can turn the page. And the way you do that is you win. And so whatever you say in words in a news conference, it's not going to get you there. Go out, play your ass off, win games, and probably say less. And also search less criticism. You don't need to see that nonsense. It's garbage. All right, Mike.
We're going to pivot to Nick Chubb, who obviously says nothing